What is going on, guys? Grave here. Today I'd like to talk about the change to Banner Bearer and the Arcanist for update 47. Now keep in mind this is the week 1 public test server notes. This could change, and I really hope this one changes because it is absolutely mind-boggling to me how they implemented this change. I do think Banner Bearer and Arcanist needed some work. You were gaining a crux for free for absolutely doing nothing if you were running the class mastery. But the change they implemented here makes it irrelevant. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. They adjusted the combination effect of the class mastery script as an Arcanist with this Grimoire. The effect will no longer generate a crux if you have no crux active. And you hear that and you're thinking, okay, well, you don't have a crux active, so that's when it's going to generate one instead of just passively generating one how many ever seconds it was. I can't remember off the top of my head. But if you are on an Arcanist, if you're running subclassing, if you're running a pure class, everyone is running Tome Bearer's Inspiration, which reads, each pulse enhances your class abilities, and striking an enemy with one deals an additional 1,161 magic and generates a crux if you have none. So Tome Bearer is already doing what the banner on an Arcanist will do now. So it makes the banner completely useless. I'm not sure. When I read this, I almost thought it was a mistake. I was thinking maybe they just wrote this incorrectly. But then if you go on to read the developer comments, they said, we're toning down how passive crux generation has become since the combination was introduced. Crux has been designed to play a central role in the Arcanist rotation, and most of its sources are built on taking action with an active cost or reacting to events outside of one's control. Passives from the Crux tend to have a limitation on their activation. Crux Weavers requires taking damage with a mild cooldown, and Tome Bearer's Inspiration requires you to have no Crux active. So it made me laugh to even read the developer comment when they're saying Tome Bearer's Inspiration, you're running that. A lot of people are running that for the other benefits, but they're saying it right there in the developer comment that you're getting a crux if you have no crux active. Both limitations are done to ensure you cannot purely passively generate crux, or that it takes an extended period of time to do so. Banner Bearer has disrupted this significantly, causing a sharp increase in performance for the Arcanist above any other class, despite it's also generating a plethora of other impactful events. With this reduction, we'll continue to look at creating a compromise effect if you have a crux active, so the combination does not feel like a complete loss of power. Well, by doing this, it is a loss of power because, of course, you're not going to be able to cast as many beams. Some people may be happy with that. If you don't like the Arcanist, that's your opinion. But between doing this and, of course, the other one that I talked about in yesterday's video, which I'm going to have a separate video just for the Nightblade, changing how Grim Focus works, there is a big hunk of power gone there, on the Arcanist class at least. And I find it odd that back when Update 46 came out, in the patch notes, the developers were saying they knew there was going to be a power creep, and they were okay with it. You know, they had got all the skills to where they needed to be for subclassing to work, and the power creep was fine with them. But in doing this, it seems like the power creep was not okay with you. I'm not sure. It's just, and I really didn't want to let this video sound like an absolute rant, because like I said, there's things in these patch notes that I see that are good, and I do think that they need to do something about the crux generation with the class passive, or the class mastery, on an Arcanist banner, because you are getting it passively. I think you needed to have to do something to earn that crux. So I think that needed to be adjusted. But doing it this way just makes absolutely no sense, and that's why I said I thought it was a mistake when I read it. And I'm hoping there's a change to this before the end of the public test server and update 47 goes live, because there's absolutely no reason to run Banner Bearer on an Arcanist now. And the thing that kind of upsets me, and is something that ZOS does more often than not, sadly, is they put new stuff in the game, and a lot of times later down the road it's nerfed into the ground. They've done it with classes, they've done it with a lot of things. But it usually takes a while for that to happen. They usually want people to go in and get the new stuff and play with it for a long time. Let's take the kilt, for example. That mythic, they wanted people to get that. It was a grind, and everyone got it. And then they finally nerfed it to where it's not usable anymore. But that was a pretty good extended period of time when that happened, from when it came out to when it got nerfed. This has been changed pretty quickly. Scribing is just about to be free for the base game, so a lot of people were probably thinking about making a Banner Bearer build with their Arcanist. Well, now there's really no need doing it, at least with the class mastery. There's some other ways you could build it, but you're not going to get the damage you did with class mastery. So why not just rework either the class mastery script for the Arcanist and make this, generate somehow by you doing a certain action. That would have made more sense to me, or anything really besides what they've done. It's just strange to me that people spend a lot of time, getting their class mastery scripts, getting all their scripts really. It was a big grind. And you're going to have a whole new group of people coming in doing that same grind now. If they don't have, the gold road and they didn't have scribing, they're just now getting into the system. I don't know. It's just a really weird change to me. And the main reason is because I find it strange that they just talked about people having a lot of power doing more damage, and everything that they seem to do combat wise, which they talked about it being light changes. They were light changes. There was not as many, as we've had in other updates, but the light changes were absolutely massive. The few light changes they did were big game changers. And this one's just a baffling one to me, because like I said, if you're already on an Arcanist class, you're already running Tome Bearer's Inspiration. So what was the point of making Banner Bearer with a class mastery script the exact same benefit of running Tome Bearers? You're generating a crux if you do not have one. So unless you're going to drop Tome Bearers and run a banner, I guess maybe, I don't know, but I don't see anyone really doing that. Maybe there is somebody out there that likes a build without Tome Bearers. I'm not sure. Just the whole thing is really odd to me. I'm hoping it gets changed. I'm curious to hear your opinion. This is not saying that Banner Bearer is going to be bad in general. For every other class, it's still going to be very useful. But it was a big part of the Arcanist build. And I understand that they wanted to calm the beam down. I understand that they wanted to calm down the passive crux generation. That is perfectly fine. I got that needed to be done. And I assumed it was going to be done. I just did not assume that it was going to be done this way, because it's just a very strange change to me to make something that everyone had to go out and grind and do and all that. And of course those things do get nerfed, sadly, like I said. But it's just a very strange change to me to make it do exactly like something we already have access to. I don't know. It's just weird. Leave me a comment with your thoughts. Let me know what you think about this one. I know a lot of people out there, some people are happy with the patch notes. Some people don't care. Some people are kind of concerned. And if you're just reading this or hearing this for the first time, leave me your opinion. Let me know what you think. Of course, if you like the video, hit the like. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. And I'll catch you next time. Peace.